I used to think my world was shrouded in darkness, but it turns out I was the only one who could truly see. My name is Elena, and for 5 years my husband Mark believed I was blind. It all started after a car accident. The doctor said my optic nerves were damaged, with a slim chance of recovery. For the first year, everything was a blur, a frustrating fog. But slowly, miraculously, my vision started to return. It began with faint shapes, then colors, and eventually, the world came back into focus. I was ecstatic, ready to share the news with Mark. But that very day, I saw something that froze the words in my throat. I saw him in our living room, holding his assistant, Chloe, in a way that was anything but professional. He whispered to her, "Don't worry, she can't see a thing. It's the perfect cover." My heart shattered. The man who was supposed to be my rock, my support through my darkest time, was using my supposed disability as a shield for his betrayal. In that moment, a different plan formed in my mind. If he wanted a blind wife, he would have one. So, I continued the act. I stumbled over furniture I could perfectly see. I'd ask him to describe the color of the sky, listening as he'd paint a beautiful picture while texting Chloe under the table. I became a master actress in my own home. I learned to navigate by sound and touch again. My senses heightened not by necessity, but by a burning desire for the truth. He grew bolder, more confident. Chloe started visiting our home, at first, to help out. But soon they weren't even trying to hide. They kissed right in front of me, thinking I was staring blankly at a wall. They'd talk about their future, their plans, their secret getaways, all while I sat on the couch, pretending to listen to an audiobook. Every stolen glance, every whispered secret I documented. I installed tiny discreet cameras, the kind you can hide in a picture frame or a potted plant. My tech-savvy cousin, who was the only one in on my secret, helped me set it all up. I gathered bank statements showing lavish gifts and expensive hotel stays. I recorded their conversations, their laughter at my expense, their cruel jokes about my helplessness. The evidence piled up, a monument to his deceit. It was a painful process, each piece of proof a fresh wound, but I knew I had to see it through. My blindness had become my greatest weapon. The day I chose to bring everything into the light was our anniversary. Mark had planned a surprise party. All our friends and family were there. He stood to give a toast, his arm around my shoulders. "To my brave, beautiful Elena," he began, his voice thick with fake emotion. "She is my inspiration, my light in the darkness." The room was filled with sympathetic murmurs. That was my cue. I gently pushed his arm away and stood up, my movements steady and sure. I looked directly at him, my eyes clear and focused for the first time in years. "You're right, Mark," I said, my voice ringing with a strength no one had heard from me before. "I have been in the darkness. But not in the way you think." A confused silence fell over the room. I turned to the large screen Mark had set up for a slideshow of our happy memories. "Let me show you all what I've been seeing." I pressed a button on a small remote, and the screen flickered to life. It wasn't our wedding photos. It was Mark and Chloe, kissing in our kitchen. Another clip showed them lounging by our pool, laughing. Then came the audio recordings of them mocking me, planning their future together. Gasps echoed through the room. Mark's face went from smug to pale to beet red. Chloe, who was standing in the back, tried to slip out, but all eyes were on her. I let the evidence play out. When it was over, I turned back to Mark, whose world was visibly crumbling. "You thought my blindness made you invisible," I said calmly. "But it only made your betrayal clearer than ever. You didn't just cheat on me, Mark. You celebrated my suffering. You danced in the darkness you thought I was trapped in." I looked around at our shocked friends and family. "This isn't a celebration. It's a revelation." I placed my wedding ring on the table, next to a thick folder of legal documents my lawyer had prepared. Everything was in my name, a precaution my father had insisted on years ago. He was left with nothing but his shame. The last thing I saw as I walked out was the look of utter devastation on his face. For the first time, he was the one who couldn't see a way out. And I was finally free, walking into the light.